Now we're okay. All right. Well, hi, everybody. It's so nice to be with you on this lovely Tuesday afternoon. My name is Shannon Stevenson, and I have the pleasure of serving as the second year program director for the BSN program here at Emory. So, like I said, I serve as the second year director, which means there is a first year director. So I always say Dr. Baker gets the students in and I help them get across the stage at graduation. So she handles the first year of the program and I handle the second year of the program. When I was a practicing nurse, my background is labor and delivery and mother baby, as well as high risk pregnancy and operating room circulating for C-sections. So anything mom, baby, pregnancy is my area of expertise. I do research in education and as well as the role of the nurse in assessing and recognizing perinatal mood and anxiety or mental health disorders, as well as the transition to parenthood. And outside of my day job, I also serve on the board of directors for an organization called Healthy Mothers, Healthy Babies Coalition of Georgia, which is the oldest nonprofit for moms here in the state of Georgia. I also serve on a statewide perinatal mental health task force where we look at resources available for families here in Georgia. I serve on the Emory University healthcare system task force on maternal mortality, and I created and co-lead a fellowship program for Emory students that I'll talk a little bit more later, but it's called Faces for Georgia Perinatal Health. And just sharing the exciting news that we were recently ranked #1 by the U.S. News and World Report as the undergraduate, the #1 undergraduate and graduate nursing school here in the United States, which is a very big honor and one that really reflects the dedication not only of our faculty and staff here at Emory, but also our students as well. So just to share a little bit about our BSN program. So we are the only undergraduate degree at the School of Nursing. So our other program students come in either with a prior bachelor's degree or prior experience in healthcare with a healthcare degree. But we are the only true bachelor program here at the School of Nursing. So it is a 4-semester program that is split into 2 years. So fall, spring, summer off, and then fall, spring. So you start in the fall semester, typically during your junior year, depending on how you come to us. We have a lot of transfer students that come to us after completing their freshman and sophomore year elsewhere, or students who come directly from Emory or Oxford, where they've completed their first 2 years in those colleges and then transfer into us in their junior year. And the goal is to graduate and to pass what's called the NCLEX, which is the certifying exam, the licensing exam here in the United States and Canada to become a registered nurse. So breaking down our plan of study. So like I mentioned, our program is split into 4 semesters. So these courses here on the left are going to be your first year, and then these on the right are the second year. So this top left is the first semester of our nursing program. You can see we start with patho, health assessment, fundamentals, professionalism, and determinants of health. And you'll see that this asterisk means that there is a clinical associated with that course. So you have one clinical course in the first semester, and then we kind of ease you into clinical as you progress through the program. The first semester is really all about building your fundamental skills. So taking vital signs, learning your basic head to toe assessment skills, and really honing those before you jump into more specialized clinical opportunities. So your second semester, you have pharmacology, ambulatory care, behavioral and mental health nursing, and then healthcare quality, safety, and in informatics. So again, you can see that we kind of have now transitioned into more specialized clinicals where your skill set is just progressing throughout. Once you take the summer off or working, whatever you choose to do, you come back to us for the fall semester where you'll take reproductive health and gender-related care. That's the class that I teach, pediatric and young adult nursing, and then adult and older adult health nursing. So really clinical heavy third semester, but you're really diving into some of those specialties, and especially ones that students have a lot of interest in working once they graduate. And then nursing scholarship and evidence-based practice, because everything we do as nurses is evidence-based. And so it's important to really understand what that means as you go through the program and get ready for independent practice. And then your fourth and final semester ends with public and population health, care of the person with complex care needs, pathway to practice, which I'll talk about in just a second, and then a kind of choose your own adventure. We call them master classes. And you get to choose whichever one of these piques your interest the most. So policy, health systems leadership, global health, or ethics and history. So really exciting opportunity to tailor the curriculum to what your interests are. And you have 3 semesters ahead of that to figure out which area in particular that you might be interested in learning a little bit more about. Pathway to Practice is your final clinical practicum where you'll be paired one-on-one with a nurse preceptor on a unit that you help select. And it's a really great opportunity to put all the skills that you've learned over the last 3 semesters together and begin taking your own patient assignments with the supervision of your preceptor and really getting ready to transition into professional practice. So we get all of that accomplished in 4 semesters. There are also optional electives. By no means are you required to take electives, but some students have certain interests that they want to study more about. And so here's just a list of some of the electives that we offer. They're not offered every semester, and some of them aren't even offered every year. It's just kind of depends on the semester or year. But these are just a selection of ones that have been offered historically. So lots of opportunities to do a deeper dive into certain areas of nursing or healthcare that you might be interested in. So looking at the amount of hours that you get clinically, you get 555 clinical hours throughout those 4 semesters. So a lot of hands-on experience from the beginning. You also get over 142 simulation hours in our state-of-the-art Emory Nursing Learning Center, or the ENLC, which is our building in Decatur, downtown Decatur. And here's our birthing simulator. You can see it right here. Actually gives birth. It's incredible. And so you get over 142 hours in that state-of-the-art simulation center where you get to practice and make mistakes in a safe space where you get great feedback and the room to grow. And then lastly, we have service learning hours because a huge part of not only the School of Nursing, but Emory is giving back to the community around us. And that includes Atlanta, Georgia, United States, and then our global community as well. And so built into our program is the opportunity to complete 30 service learning hours. And a lot of those hours can be done at an organization of your choice. So again, if you have a certain interest in a certain patient population or community based work, then you have the opportunity to fulfill those hours that way. So because we have that built-in summer in our program, the summer is yours to do with whatever you'd like. Some students choose to do an externship, a nurse externship, where an externship is essentially a shadowing opportunity, a prolonged shadowing opportunity, where you get to see kind of the day-to-day job on specific units. There are work opportunities. Some students work as nursing assistants or patient care techs. Every hospital calls that role something different. But they have the opportunity to do that. Sometimes they'll do it here in Atlanta, or they'll maybe go home and work at a local hospital. Option is yours. We also offer study abroad trips, or what we call immersion experiences, that are, again, local as well as global. And then you could just relax and refresh and get ready for year 2. You don't have to take a job in healthcare. I have some students that go home and wait tables over the summer, or work at a camp, or just chill out with their friends. And that's a perfectly viable option as well. So like I said, the choice is yours to do with that summer with what you'd like. So looking at some of our global health opportunities, so the School of Nursing is home to the Lillian Carter Center for Global Health and Social Responsibility. And this center is where all of our global work kind of lives, and local work as well. Anything really that we host our immersion trips through, any community-based engagement where we are providing students to work or to volunteer with certain service organizations is all housed through the LCC, and is named after President Jimmy Carter's mom, who was a nurse. So service learning, our immersion trips built into the program, happen during spring break, where students will have the opportunity to apply to go on a spring break immersion that will give them clinical credit hours for their public health clinical. So you get the opportunity to get course credit if you do one of these immersions during spring break. And again, there are local opportunities as well as opportunities across the globe. We've sent students to Dominican Republic, Bahamas, Virgin Islands, We also, like I said, have opportunities right here in the Atlanta area. So whatever your interest is, we have a global immersion or a local immersion to meet those interests. And then we also have the Emory Global Health Institute, which also hosts some trips, as well as just planning events surrounding global health and how to get involved. So when we send you to clinical, where do you go? Well, you have the opportunity to learn at some of the best hospitals here in the Atlanta area. So Emory Healthcare System, obviously, we send a lot of students there for clinical. We have 11 hospitals or clinical sites that we send students to that are Emory sites. CHOA is our partner for most of our pediatric courses. So that's Children's Healthcare of Atlanta, both the Eggleston campus as well as the new Arthur Blank Hospital, which just opened last month. The Veterans Affairs Medical Center, or the VA, is another partner of ours. Grady, Piedmont, Northside, Wellstar, and then various community partners as well, especially for things like public health, as well as our service learning opportunities. So beyond studying and going to clinical, our students are very involved here at Emory and again in the greater Atlanta area. So students have the opportunity to participate in student government. We have the Emory Student Nurses Association, or ESNA, and they do a great job of advocating for students, for serving as a liaison between students and faculty, and host a lot of really fun events for students to get out of the classroom, get out of clinical, and enjoy each other's company. So they're a great organization. We have the Emory Global Health Nursing Association as well that hosts events specific to global health and global health interests. We have the National Black Nurses Association, and then specifically we have the Emory Black Student Nurses Organization, who also hosts really great events to build community and get to know each other. Student ambassadors, which work with the Office of Admissions and host events, as well as tours around campus. Any event that we are recruiting students or welcoming new students, our student ambassadors are right there with us. Honor Council, as well as school committees. So I serve as the chair of the curriculum committee, and we have student members who provide their feedback on curricular changes and things that are happening at the School of Nursing. So all of our major faculty committees have a student representative, which I think is really cool for you guys to have the opportunity to give us your perspective. It's really helpful and appreciated. Sigma Theta Tau International, which is the honor society for nursing. And then club sports and other activities. I have students who do ultimate frisbee. I have students who are swimmers for Emory swim team. So many awesome opportunities that you get just by being part of such a large university like Emory, who has so many student orgs and club sports and activities to get involved in. All of that is open to you as students at the School of Nursing. Also like to talk about how we support students, because you probably have heard that nursing school is tough, and it is. I always say if it was easy, everyone would be nurses because it's such an incredible career. But we have so many avenues of support to help students through the program. So we have what's called the NEST initiative, which launched a few years ago, and it stands for Nursing Excellence, Scholarship, and Technology. And there are embedded tutors into some of our historically hard classes, so things like pathophysiology or pharmacology. There are graduate teaching assistants embedded into those courses to help students kind of put together material, to give them study tips, to go over difficult concepts, but that's built into those courses to support students. We also have peer tutoring, so students who have been successful in those courses in the past, and that goes for any course throughout our program. They're invited to become peer tutors, where they will meet in small groups or one-on-one with students. And again, just clarify concepts and provide, mnemonics or helpful study tips or things like that. Students can self-refer to NEST. Faculty can refer students as well. And so it's a great opportunity to get support. It's led by two incredible faculty, as well as our nursing support staff, who really help connect students to resources, give them just general time management and study skills tips, because that to me is what I have found to be the most important, having good time management and learning how to study in a way that makes the material stick for you. You might have been a traditional note card person in your previous coursework, but when it gets to nursing school and nursing content, it's really all about application. And so there are different study techniques that help you learn that way. and our faculty and peer tutors and graduate teaching assistants are all wonderful ways to help you with that. So just to wrap up, there are a few special opportunities that are specific for our Bachelor's of Science in Nursing or our BSN students. So one of those programs is called VANAP, which is Veterans Affairs Nursing Academic Partnership. And so this is a program that students apply to and are accepted who are learning to care for America's veterans because they have unique healthcare needs and interact with a unique healthcare system through the VA. And so students participate in a boot camp. They take a special electives on caring for our veterans. They have special simulation. They do as much of their clinical opportunities as possible at the VA. And they even have summer employment and nurse residency opportunities. So really wonderful opportunity if you are interested in taking care of veterans through the VA program. There is some eligibility for loan repayment as well as a fully funded stipend. So it's a great opportunity for sure. We also have our honors program, and so it's linked here. You can learn more about that. But students are paired one-on-one with a faculty member to conduct research or a scholarly project, write a thesis, and then present their work. They do this work over their entire 2 years of their program, and they are recognized at graduation with distinction of honors, high honors, or highest honors based on that project that they write and present. So I've had the honor of serving on a few honors thesis committees, and it's so impressive to see the work that students do in addition to their coursework already. On top of this, the students who are really interested perhaps in maybe eventually going for a PhD or doing research in some capacity. This is such a great program to learn from some of the best nurse researchers around. We also have Emory in Motion, and this is a primary care program where nurses are leading mobile health units, which is really cool. Where there's a big old bus that they have. They take into underserved communities, rural communities that might not have access to healthcare, and students are provided scholarships, and they also do 80 clinical hours in those mobile health environments. So there are a few different organizations that we partner with to offer this mobile healthcare, but it's really cool if you're interested in serving, like I said, rural communities or those that might not have access to healthcare resources. Really wonderful program. And then lastly is the program that I lead. It's called FACES in Georgia Perinatal Health. And FACES stands for Fellowship in Advocacy, Community Engagement, and Social Entrepreneurship. And it's a year-long program where students learn from different organizations involved in perinatal health here in Georgia, and then are paired with them for a project in the spring where the students bring their own unique skills to this organization and help with things like marketing, social media, and quality improvement, community outreach, et cetera. It's been really, this is the second year. It's been a really great program for students who are interested in perinatal health. And it's not just nursing students. My favorite part of it is that it's students from across Emory. So we have medical students, business students, public health, Emory College. So a really diverse group, which I think is really important. All right, that is all I have for you. So I will turn it over to Melanie to discuss a little bit more about our admissions process.
Thank you, Dr. Stevenson. So as I stated earlier, I'm just going to go over some information about admissions and the application itself. My name is Melanie Quiseno, and I'm an admissions advisor of nursing for our pre-licensure programs. So there are a couple of different ways we see students come into the BSN program. To start, we do not accept high school students directly into our BSN program. High school students typically, they apply for freshman admission through Emory's Office of Undergraduate Admission. And the reason why we don't accept high school students directly into our program is because we do require that 60 credit hours of undergraduate coursework be completed in order to be eligible for the BSN program. So students coming from Emory or Oxford, they'll spend their first 2 years completing courses to make up that 60 credit hour requirement, and that'll include our prerequisites and general education requirements. And they'll also need to maintain a 3.0 cumulative GPA when applying. Students from Emory or Oxford specifically, as long as they meet this criteria, They satisfy our prerequisites, have the 60 credit hours completed, and maintain that 3.0 cumulative GPA, they do receive guaranteed admission into the BSN program. Again, that is specifically for Emory and Oxford students. We do accept transfer students from other institutions into our BSN program. Those students will also just need to make sure that they've completed our prerequisites and other general education requirements that make up that 60 credit hour requirement in order to apply to the School of Nursing. So a little bit about our application. You can find our application on our website. Um, all students have to submit an application to be considered for admission. We have a $50 application fee. We also require a resume or a CV. We do ask that this be pretty up to date, at least within the last 6 months. We also require transcripts from all post-secondary schools, whether or not a degree was conferred. So pretty much if you started coursework at another institution, we will require transcript from that institution. If you have international coursework and attended an institution outside of the United States, we will require that those international transcripts be evaluated by WES, World Education Services. And we may require TOEFL scores if English is a second language. And then also, if your cumulative GPA is below a 3.5, we will require a standardized test score report. So this should be the SAT, ACT, GRE, or TEAS test. If you have a cumulative GPA of a 3.5 or above, we will waive that standardized test score requirement. So something about the way we review applications, we review applications holistically. So we're not only looking at the grades you got in your prerequisite. We're not only looking at your GPA. We're not only looking at the work experience on your resume. We are looking at your application as a whole, equally considering your academic background, leadership skills, social responsibilities, and more, social responsibility activities and more to make admission decisions. So these are the prerequisites that we require. We have 7 prerequisites. They are general chemistry 1 with lab, human anatomy and physiology 1 and 2 with lab, microbiology with lab, nutrition, introductory statistics, and human growth and development or lifespan development. You'll see an asterisk next to 3 of our prerequisites, and that is because we require that human anatomy, physiology 1 and 2 with lab and microbiology with lab be completed at least within 7 years from starting the program. So for the other prerequisites, there is no time limit on those prerequisites. So when you apply, you don't have to have all prerequisites completed in order to submit an application. We are able to make admissions decisions with prerequisites still in progress, but if admitted, those prerequisites need to be satisfied with a C or higher by the time the program begins. We do not accept C minus grades to satisfy our prerequisite requirements. We'll only accept a C or higher. And so once you submit your application and all application materials, our review process is a manual process. So it may take some time for you to see prerequisites marked as received on your application checklist. But it may take just a couple of weeks. But when a member of our our admissions team starts reviewing your application and your transcripts, we'll reach out to you directly if we're in need of any additional materials. And we do not offer transcript reviews outside of an application. So that means in order for us to review your transcript, you must submit an application. We aren't able to review your transcript if you email it to us and ask us, for example, what kind of courses may already satisfy prerequisites. We will request that you officially submit an application in order for us to review. So we only accept courses from regionally accredited institution. This accreditation information is typically found on the institution's website, but if for some reason you're not sure, you can always contact that institution's registrar office and hopefully they'll be able to let you know if the institution is regionally accredited. We also do accept online courses and labs, so they do not only have to be taken in person, as long as they are, again, regionally accredited. One platform that we do commonly see applicants complete their prerequisites with is Portage Learning. It's an online platform that is PORTAGE, and all of our prerequisites are offered on that platform. So that's just one of the platforms where we commonly see applicants and admitted students complete their prerequisites from. So our application opens on June 1st of every year. Our final application deadline for the Fall 25 BSN program is coming up on December 1st, and students that submit an application by December 1st will receive their decision on January 25th around 5 p.m. But yeah, our application opens June 1st of every year, and we typically have 3 rounds of application deadlines and decision release dates. So we do have some time for questions that we'll address briefly, but this is our general School of Nursing email. So definitely take note of it, because if you have any questions after this webinar, you can definitely reach out to us here at nursingquestions@emory.edu, and a member of our admissions team will be happy to assist you. All righty, I think we have some time for questions. So we've got some questions coming into the chat. In regards to the 60-hour completion, are we allowed to apply if we're currently finishing up our last few prereqs this semester in order to apply by December 1st? Yes, you can go ahead and apply. We are able to make admission decisions with prerequisites still in progress. Just as I stated earlier, if you are admitted, those prerequisites would just need to be completed by the start of the program. If I'm currently finishing prerequisites, can I submit my unofficial transcript to be considered for admission? Yes, we can review unofficial transcripts. If admitted, you would need to provide an official transcript by the start of the program. So will you guys be able to look at our grades from this previous semester to make a decision for January 20th? As long as you submit an application by December 1st, we will look at those grades to receive a decision by January 25th. Okay. Around how many students are in each cohort? So our BSN cohort is on average about 140 to 150 students each year. And we have another question that just came in about how many students from outside of Emory are accepted. So we pretty much see like a 50-50 split between students coming directly from Emory or Oxford and students coming from other institutions. And I see Sinduri, if you want to go ahead and unmute yourself to ask your question.
Yes, thank you. I had a question regarding the application, and because I think there's like an option to add additional files for a letter of recommendation. And I had emailed about this, but I just wanted to ask one more time just to get a better idea. Would it help our application to have letters of recommendation, or should we skip out on adding those on?
So for an that's a great question. For an application to our BSN program, we don't require letters of recommendation. Therefore, we can't guarantee that they'll be considered when the admissions team is reviewing your application for a decision.
Okay, thank you.
No problem. Thanks. Someone asked a question in the chat. How long after decision releases do we have to accept our seat? So once you receive a letter of admission, on that letter of admission, there will be a specific date where you'll have to submit your tuition deposit in order to officially secure your seat for the program. Are scholarships available for transfer students? So all students that are accepted into our programs, they're reviewed for merit-based scholarships. We do have some external scholarship resources just because internal scholarship, that process is pretty competitive. So definitely you'll want to reach out to our general nursing email, and I'll go ahead and provide in that email in the chat as well. So that way we can provide you with some external scholarship resources. Do transfer students also have to have a 3.0 GPA, or are they typically required to have a higher GPA? So competitive applicants that are transferring into our BSN program from other institutions, on average, we typically see at least a 3.5 GPA. but we have admitted students with a GPA higher than that or lower than that. As I stated before, we do have a holistic application review process. So your GPA is not the only thing that we are considering when making a decision on your application. Is there a site where I can compare course equivalents? So on our website, we have like the prerequisites listed, but we don't have a list of courses that are specifically equivalent to each prerequisite. We do not offer transcript reviews outside of an application process, but if there is a course that you think might satisfy the prerequisite requirement, but for example, it has a different title than the ones that you see on our website, you can definitely reach out to us at nursingquestions@emory.edu, and we can let you know if we believe that that course would satisfy a requirement. What if you have finished more prerequisites after you submitted your application? Can you add them to your application after the deadline? Yes. So after you submit your application, you are always welcome to upload additional unofficial transcripts or have official transcripts sent to us, and a member of our admissions team will update your application checklist to show what additional prerequisites have been satisfied. How many students are normally accepted each round compared to number of applicants? We typically see an average of a 30 to 40% acceptance rate each year, but it does fluctuate. As a high school student, can I still choose nursing as a field of interest and preferred major on the Common App, or do I need to choose another field? So I'm not sure how the Common App works for the general application for Emory College, but once you're admitted to the program, we will declare your major for you as nursing. So you would just have to let your office of your undergraduate advisor know at Emory that you are on the pre-nursing track. Which class would satisfy general chemistry, survey of chemistry, or principles of chemistry? We have seen courses with either of these names satisfy our general chemistry one with lab prerequisite. You definitely just want to make sure that it includes a lab portion. Questions at emory.edu, and we may request a course syllabus just to verify. For scholarships, would I apply through Emory or the School of Nursing? I will be a transfer. So students are automatically reviewed for scholarships, excuse me. So there's no separate application that you have to submit for scholarship consideration. Can I apply with my high school credentials from Ghana? So we do not accept high school students directly into the BSN program. You would have to connect with the Office of Undergraduate Admissions at Emory College. Does having experience in CNA and HHA generally help my application? As I said, we do have a holistic application review process, so that these are definitely great things to include in your application. As a transfer student, how does housing work? Is there on-campus housing available? So I believe on-campus housing is reserved for first and second year students, but you would have to look on our general Emory College website to see about housing options. We also do have an off housing page on that website that provides some resources for students. So the pre-nursing track involves prerequisites and 60-hour course completion. So once you let your Office of Undergraduate Admissions advisor at Emory know that you want to be on that pre-nursing track, they'll be working with you to make sure you complete those first and second year requirements and also our prerequisites. And during those first 2 years, that should make up the 60 credit hour requirement in its totality. On our website, we do have a guide for students coming from Emory or Oxford College, and it has more information about the 60 credit hour requirements and the GER requirements that you would have to complete. Okay. Sindura, if you want to go ahead and unmute yourself again.
Sorry, I had one more question about the test score submission. So is it completely not required if your GPA is above a 3.5? And if so, is it still possible to add that onto your application?
Yeah, so you can definitely still submit your test score report, but if your GPA is at least a 3.5 or higher, we'll waive that requirement, so you're not required to.
Thank you.
No problem. Is there a limit of credits transferred from another university that Emory will accept? There isn't a limit, but we just require that you have at least 60 credit hours of undergraduate coursework. And that process will be checked by our registrar's office. Is it necessary to have your CNA license to be accepted into the program? No, it is not necessary. I have my LPN license, but not my CNA. It is not necessary to have like a license of some sort in order to be accepted into the program. I took a foundational year in nursing in a college this year. Can I submit the transcript as part of my application for my 2 years of undergraduate coursework, and how? So when you apply, you'll have to submit transcripts from any course, from any institutions where you completed courses. So you can go ahead and submit that transcript as a part of your application. You can apply directly on our website. You'll just hit apply and it'll lead you through the steps in filling out the information to submit your application and then uploading any application materials. Official transcripts, they'll have to be physically mailed to our office or electronically sent to us at nursingquestions@emory.edu. And I'm going to go ahead and put our general email in the chat. Are Portage classes accepted? Yes, we do accept classes from Portage Learning because these courses are regionally accredited. Do you have any other questions? Well, I really appreciate all of you for joining us today. Thank you so much, Dr. Stevenson, for a great presentation and some insight into the BSN program. I did just include our general nursing email. Actually, I don't think it's sent to everyone in the, let me include it again, but I'm going to include our general School of Nursing email, nursingquestions@emory.edu in the chat. So should you have any other questions that come up, please email us there.
I actually have a question.
Yes.
So what are your normal like T requirement scores? Like what scores do you guys normally like consider for the T's?
So we want to see students that score at least within the 90%.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't hear that. Can you repeat it, please?
We want to see students that score at least within the 90th percentile. Okay, so I send them after I submit my application. There's no place to submit them on the Common App. So if you are applying for freshman admission at Emory through Emory University, the general college, then I definitely recommend reaching out to them about submitting your application there and how you would submit transcripts. If you are not accepted, will you be denied or waitlisted? So there's pretty much 3 possible outcomes for an application. You can either be accepted, denied, or waitlisted. So either one of those could happen. For the transfer portal, when will prerequisites be marked as received? So once you submit your application, our application review process is a manual process, so it can take a couple of weeks for you to see your prerequisites marked as received. But we will reach out to you directly if we're in need of any additional information. Michelle, if you want to unmute yourself, go ahead. Hey, Michelle, we can't hear you if you're asking a question. Michelle, can you put your question in the chat? Can't hear you still, unfortunately. Okay, so Michelle, if you want to send an email with your question to nursingquest.edu, we're definitely able to assist you there. Unfortunately, we weren't able to hear you when you unmuted just now. I'm not sure if you want to try again. Okay, alrighty. So again, everyone, please email us at nursingquestions@emory.edu with any additional questions you may have. Thank you so much for joining us today. And again, thank you, Dr. Stevenson, for that wonderful insight on our BSN program. Bye, y'all.